In our daily lives, honesty is often hailed as a fundamental virtue. Honesty is the best policy is a saying many of us have heard throughout our lives. Yet how often do we stop to truly understand what honesty means and why it holds such importance? Is it just about telling the truth, or is there something deeper to it? This chapter will explore the true essence of honesty, examining its foundational role in creating trust, integrity, and authenticity in both personal and professional settings. Defining honesty. At its core, honesty is the act of being truthful, transparent, and free of deceit. However, honesty is not limited to merely speaking the truth. It extends beyond words into actions, behaviors, and even our thoughts. Honesty involves not only telling the truth when it's easy, but also embracing it when it's difficult, when the truth may cause discomfort, conflict, or vulnerability. It's about consistency, integrity, and being aligned with our principles. Honesty isn't just about what we say, it's also about what we do. It's about living in a way that reflects our values and being true to who we are. It's the absence of manipulation, deceit, or hypocrisy. When we practice honesty, we demonstrate that we are authentic and trustworthy individuals. Honesty is the first chapter in the Book of Wisdom. Thomas Jefferson. This powerful quote highlights that honesty is not just the beginning of a journey. It is the foundation of wisdom. Without honesty, it's impossible to build a life based on true knowledge and understanding. The role of honesty in trust. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether personal, professional, or societal. Without honesty, trust cannot be sustained. Honesty is the building block of trust, and trust is essential in fostering healthy, productive, and meaningful relationships. Consider the dynamics of a friendship. If one friend is dishonest, withholding the truth or telling lies, the other friend will eventually feel betrayed. Trust is damaged, and the bond begins to unravel. Honesty, on the other hand, strengthens relationships. When people are open, honest, and transparent, trust is built and maintained, deepening the connection. In professional settings, honesty is equally vital. Employers and employees rely on trust to ensure that work is done effectively, goals are met, and decisions are made with the best interests of the organization in mind. When honesty is prioritized, a culture of trust is formed, allowing teams to work more cohesively and efficiently. The importance of honesty in personal integrity. Integrity and honesty go hand in hand. Integrity is about consistency, aligning one's actions with their beliefs and values. To be a person of integrity, one must first be honest, not just with others, but also with themselves. Without honesty, it becomes nearly impossible to live with integrity. When we deceive others or withhold the truth, we not only lose the trust of those around us, but we also compromise our own integrity. Lying, even in small ways, erodes the relationship we have with ourselves. It creates inner conflict as our actions don't match our values. Practicing honesty allows us to live in alignment with our beliefs, leading to a greater sense of self-respect and authenticity. For example, consider a scenario where someone is asked about their opinion on a colleague's work. Rather than offering a truthful but constructive critique, they give a false, overly positive response to avoid conflict. While the person may think this will protect the relationship, the act of dishonesty actually undermines their integrity and builds a false connection. By being honest, even when the truth is difficult, they not only help the colleague grow, but also maintain their own integrity. Honesty's role in creating healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of trust, and trust cannot exist without honesty. Whether it's in friendships, family dynamics, or romantic relationships, honesty is essential for creating deep, meaningful bonds. When we practice honesty in our relationships, We allow others to see us for who we truly are. This creates a space for mutual respect, understanding, and emotional intimacy. Honesty in relationships goes beyond simply telling the truth. It's about being open, vulnerable, and willing to share our thoughts, feelings, and desires. This transparency fosters connection and helps resolve conflicts more effectively. A relationship where honesty thrives is one where both individuals feel valued and heard, and where trust can grow stronger over time. The societal impact of honesty. Honesty is not just important on a personal level, it's also critical for the functioning of society. From the systems we rely on to the way we interact with each other in everyday life, honesty shapes the social fabric. Societal trust relies on the honesty of individuals, institutions, and governments. Without honesty in public life, corruption, injustice, and inequality thrive. Governments and corporations that prioritize honesty foster accountability and transparency. When leaders are open with the public about challenges, decisions, and policies, they build trust. People can make informed choices and feel confident that the systems they depend on are working in their best interest. On the contrary, dishonesty in governance can lead to disillusionment, apathy, and even unrest. A society built on honesty is one where people trust each other and their institutions, where transparency leads to greater accountability, and where ethical behavior is the norm. The collective benefit of honesty, therefore, extends far beyond the individual, contributing to the overall well-being and stability of the community. In this chapter, we've explored the fundamental role of honesty in building trust, integrity, and healthy relationships. Honesty is not just a personal virtue, it is the foundation of a functioning society. Whether in personal relationships or broader societal contexts, honesty creates the conditions for trust and transparency, which are essential for meaningful connections and progress. In the next chapter, we will explore the personal benefits of honesty, particularly in the realms of mental and emotional well-being. How does honesty contribute to better self-esteem, emotional clarity, and a sense of peace within ourselves? Personal benefits of honesty, mental and emotional well-being. Honesty isn't just a virtue we practice to benefit others, it's also essential to our own mental and emotional well-being. In this chapter, we will explore how being honest with ourselves and others directly contributes to our happiness, peace of mind, and emotional health. Honesty is not just about the external world, but about living authentically, unburdened by the stress and conflict that dishonesty brings. The emotional freedom that comes with being truthful is profound. When we live honestly, we free ourselves from the weight of carrying lies or avoiding difficult truths. This sense of release is crucial to maintaining emotional health and self-respect. Let's examine the psychological benefits of honesty and how embracing truthfulness can lead to a more fulfilling and peaceful life. The psychological freedom of honesty. One of the most significant psychological benefits of honesty is the sense of freedom it provides. Dishonesty, no matter how small, creates a burden on the mind. We must constantly remember our lies, protect them, and deal with the anxiety of being caught. This mental strain can lead to stress, anxiety, and even depression. In contrast, when we live honestly, we experience a sense of relief. We no longer need to keep track of false stories or worry about being exposed. This release from mental burdens creates clarity in our thinking and peace in our hearts. Honesty allows us to be free from the internal conflict that often arises from deception. By being true to ourselves and others, we create a stable foundation on which to build our lives. Example: think of a situation where someone lies to avoid confrontation. At first, it might seem easier, but over time, the person has to maintain the lie, which becomes increasingly stressful. This constant anxiety can affect their relationships and mental health. When the person finally chooses to be honest, even if the truth is difficult, they experience a sense of relief and emotional freedom, knowing they no longer have to carry the weight of dishonesty. Honesty and self-respect. Honesty is not just about being truthful with others, it's also about being truthful with ourselves. Self-deception, telling ourselves that we're fine when we're not, or denying our weaknesses, erodes our self-respect and prevents us from growing emotionally. Being honest with ourselves requires a deep level of self-awareness and acceptance. When we acknowledge our flaws and take responsibility for our actions, we build self-respect. Self-deception, on the other hand, keeps us trapped in patterns of denial and avoidance. True emotional health comes from embracing the full truth about ourselves, the good, the bad, and everything in between. When we practice self-honesty, we gain clarity about our emotions, desires, and values, which in turn allows us to make better decisions and grow as individuals. Proverb: honesty is the best policy, but insanity is a better defense. Mark Twain. This humorous yet insightful quote highlights the internal struggle many people face between honesty and avoiding discomfort. While honesty can sometimes be difficult or uncomfortable, it ultimately protects our mental health and allows us to live more authentically. Building emotional resilience through honesty. Emotional resilience is the ability to cope with and recover from difficult situations. One of the most powerful ways to build emotional resilience is through honesty. When we are honest about our feelings, experiences, and struggles, we give ourselves the tools to process our emotions and learn from them. Honesty allows us to face our challenges directly. It prevents us from running away from difficult emotions, which can eventually lead to emotional burnout. Instead, honesty enables us to understand and process our emotions in a healthy way. For example, if we're struggling with anger, being honest about the root cause of that anger, rather than repressing it or denying it, allows us to take action and heal. Similarly, being honest about feelings of sadness or grief lets us confront those emotions and move forward. Example: imagine someone who is grieving the loss of a loved one. If they pretend to be fine and avoid confronting their grief, it will likely cause them emotional turmoil in the long run. On the other hand, if they are honest with themselves and others about their pain, they can allow themselves the time and space to heal. By embracing their feelings with honesty, they are able to process the grief and eventually move toward acceptance and peace. Honesty and authenticity. Living true to yourself. Living honestly is integral to living authentically. When we are truthful with ourselves and others, we align our actions with our true values and beliefs. Authenticity is about being real, not pretending to be something we're not or conforming to societal expectations. Honesty helps us cultivate authenticity, which in turn contributes to our emotional and mental well-being. When we live authentically, we feel more fulfilled and at peace. We stop pretending or wearing masks, and we begin to act in alignment with our true self. This brings a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that our actions reflect our values, rather than being dictated by external pressures. Living authentically allows us to attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that are true to who we are, leading to a more enriching and meaningful life. Proverb: be yourself, everyone else is already taken. Oscar Wilde. This famous quote emphasizes the importance of living authentically. It reminds us that our unique selves are valuable, and being honest with ourselves about who we are is the key to living a fulfilling life. Overcoming the fear of honesty. For many people, being honest can be intimidating. We fear the consequences of the truth, whether it's hurting someone's feelings, facing judgment, or experiencing rejection. However, the fear of honesty is often far greater than the reality. When we confront our fears and choose honesty, we discover that the truth is rarely as devastating as we imagine. In fact, embracing honesty often leads to personal growth and liberation. We become stronger, more resilient, and more authentic in our interactions. While it may be difficult at first, the long-term benefits of living honestly far outweigh the short-term discomforts. We can start small by practicing honesty in everyday situations, whether it's telling someone how we feel or owning up to our mistakes, and gradually build the confidence to be more truthful in all areas of our lives. Honesty offers profound benefits for our mental and emotional well-being. By embracing the truth, both with ourselves and with others, we experience psychological freedom, increased self-respect, and emotional resilience. Honesty allows us to live authentically, building a foundation for inner peace and fulfillment. As we move forward, we'll explore how honesty contributes to building stronger, more meaningful relationships with others, whether in friendships, family, or romantic partnerships. Honesty in relationships, building trust and connection. Relationships are the heart of our social lives, whether they're romantic partnerships, friendships, or family bonds. Honesty is the cornerstone upon which strong and lasting connections are built. In this chapter, we will explore how honesty plays a vital role in strengthening relationships, fostering trust, and creating deeper emotional connections. Honesty is not only about telling the truth. It's about creating a space where both individuals feel valued, respected, and understood. Relationships thrive when honesty is practiced consistently. It's not always easy, and sometimes the truth can be uncomfortable, but honesty forms the foundation for trust. Without trust, relationships falter. Let's explore how embracing honesty can transform the way we relate to others and bring us closer to the people who matter most. The role of honesty in building trust. Trust is the bedrock of every meaningful relationship, and honesty is the key to establishing that trust. Trust is built over time through small actions, decisions, and interactions. Each time we are honest, we reinforce that trust. Conversely, dishonesty, whether in the form of lies, omissions, or half-truths, undermines trust and creates distance. Imagine a relationship where honesty is the default mode of communication. In this type of relationship, both parties feel secure, knowing that they can rely on each other for the truth. There's no fear of betrayal or hidden agendas. Each person can express their thoughts, feelings, and desires openly, knowing that their partner will respond with understanding and support. In contrast, dishonesty in a relationship breeds suspicion, resentment, and insecurity. Lies, even small ones, build a wall between people. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. This is why honesty is so crucial in relationships. It's what creates the safety and stability needed for emotional intimacy to flourish. Honesty in friendships, the foundation of true connection. Friendships are often considered some of the most important relationships in our lives. True friendship is built on mutual respect, shared experiences, and, most importantly, honesty. Without honesty, friendships become superficial, lacking the depth and trust that make them meaningful. Honest friends can share their true selves with each other without fear of judgment. This openness fosters a deeper connection where both individuals feel seen, heard, and valued. When we are honest with our friends, we demonstrate that we trust them enough to share our vulnerabilities, concerns, and experiences. This level of trust strengthens the bond and creates a more authentic friendship. Example: think about a situation where you've had a disagreement with a friend. If both parties are honest about their feelings, the conflict can lead to a greater understanding and resolution. On the other hand, if one person is dishonest about their feelings or avoids confrontation, the issue may remain unresolved and the friendship may suffer. Honest communication during conflicts allows both individuals to work through their differences and grow together. Honesty in family dynamics, strengthening the family bond. Family relationships are often the most intimate, but they can also be the most challenging. With family members, we experience a deep level of connection, but we also often take each other for granted. Honesty in family dynamics is crucial for creating a space where each person feels respected and heard. When honesty is prioritized, family members can communicate openly about their needs, boundaries, and emotions. Honesty within families fosters a sense of security. Children who are raised in an environment where open communication is encouraged are more likely to develop strong self-esteem and emotional intelligence. Parents who model honesty set an example for their children, teaching them the value of truthfulness and transparency. However, honesty within families isn't always easy. Sometimes family members avoid being truthful to protect one another from pain or discomfort. While this may seem like a kind gesture, it can lead to misunderstandings, unspoken resentment, and a lack of emotional intimacy. Being honest, yet compassionate with family members creates an atmosphere of trust where everyone feels safe to express their true selves. Example: consider a family situation where a parent needs to discuss financial struggles with their children. Though it may be uncomfortable, being honest about the family situation can help children understand the challenges and develop empathy. Avoiding the truth may lead to misunderstandings or feelings of insecurity. When parents are honest with their children, they teach them the importance of honesty and resilience in the face of difficulties. Honesty in romantic relationships, the cornerstone of intimacy. Romantic relationships require the deepest level of honesty. In a romantic partnership, emotional and physical intimacy depend on trust, and trust is built through consistent honesty. When we are honest with our partners about our needs, desires, and emotions, we create a safe space for intimacy to thrive. Without honesty, relationships become strained and disconnected. Honesty in romantic relationships means sharing both the positive and difficult truths. It's about being transparent with your partner, whether it's about how you're feeling emotionally, what you need from the relationship, or even discussing uncomfortable topics like financial concerns or future plans. By communicating openly and truthfully, both partners can make informed decisions about how to move forward together. However, honesty in relationships isn't just about speaking the truth. It's also about listening. Being receptive to your partner's honesty, even when it's difficult to hear, is crucial for maintaining a healthy and thriving relationship. Honest communication requires active listening, empathy, and a willingness to work together toward understanding and resolution. Proverb: the most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. Peter Drucker. This quote highlights that honesty in romantic relationships goes beyond words. It's about understanding the unspoken truths, being in tune with each other's emotions, and providing a safe space for both people to express themselves fully. Honesty as a tool for conflict resolution. Conflict is inevitable in any relationship, but honesty is what allows conflicts to be resolved constructively. Honest communication during a disagreement allows both parties to express their needs, understand each other's perspectives, and work toward a resolution. Without honesty, conflicts can escalate, misunderstandings can grow, and emotional distance can widen. The key to resolving conflict is not avoiding tough conversations, but addressing them openly and honestly. This doesn't mean that everything needs to be said in an aggressive or harsh manner, but it does require vulnerability and the willingness to express difficult truths. When we are honest in conflict, we create the possibility for deeper understanding, emotional growth, and stronger connections. Example: imagine a romantic partner expressing concern about how often their significant other works late and how it affects their relationship. Instead of avoiding the conversation to avoid conflict, the partner chooses to be honest, expressing their feelings in a calm, non-accusatory way. This honesty opens the door for a productive discussion where both partners can express their needs and come to an agreement that strengthens their bond. Honesty is the cornerstone of all meaningful relationships, whether in friendships, family dynamics, or romantic partnerships. Honesty creates the foundation for trust, connection, and mutual respect. It allows us to build deeper emotional intimacy and fosters an environment where both individuals can be their authentic selves. While honesty in relationships requires vulnerability and sometimes difficult conversations, it ultimately leads to healthier, more resilient connections. In the next chapter, we will explore the broader societal impact of honesty and how embracing truth contributes to justice, transparency, and the overall well-being of communities. The challenges of honesty: overcoming fear and discomfort. While honesty is a fundamental value that fosters trust, integrity, and connection, practicing it is not always straightforward. In fact, many people struggle with being honest, especially when the truth is difficult, uncomfortable, or when they fear the consequences of speaking up. Honesty is often met with resistance, not because it's inherently wrong, but because it requires vulnerability, courage, and the willingness to face discomfort. In this chapter, we will explore the common barriers that prevent us from being honest, such as fear of rejection, fear of confrontation, and the discomfort of vulnerability. We will also discuss practical ways to overcome these challenges, empowering ourselves to embrace honesty even in the most difficult situations. Fear of rejection and judgment. One of the biggest challenges to being honest is the fear of rejection or judgment. Many people avoid honesty because they fear that their truth will not be accepted, leading to rejection or criticism. This fear can be especially strong in personal relationships, where we fear that being completely open will cause conflict, hurt feelings, or even the end of the relationship. The fear of rejection can be paralyzing and often leads people to withhold their true thoughts, feelings, and desires. They may choose to lie, avoid confrontation, or mask their emotions to preserve peace or avoid conflict. However, the longer we suppress the truth, the more it builds up inside us, leading to emotional strain and distancing in our relationships. The very act of avoiding honesty often creates the alienation we fear. Proverb: the truth will set you free, but first, it will make you miserable. James A. Garfield. This quote emphasizes that while honesty may initially feel uncomfortable or difficult, it ultimately brings liberation and clarity. Facing the fear of rejection head-on allows us to move past the initial discomfort and grow stronger and more connected to others. To overcome this fear, it's important to remember that true, lasting relationships are built on trust and authenticity. While difficult truths may create temporary discomfort, they ultimately lead to deeper connections. Being honest allows us to express ourselves fully, fostering respect and understanding. When we are honest with others, we invite them to be honest with us, and we begin to create relationships where authenticity is valued over the fear of judgment. Fear of confrontation. In many situations, honesty forces us to confront difficult issues or express opinions that could lead to confrontation. Whether it's addressing a sensitive topic in a romantic relationship, expressing dissatisfaction with a colleague, or confronting a family member about a problem, the fear of confrontation can hold us back from speaking the truth. The discomfort that comes with confrontation can make us hesitant to be honest, especially when we are concerned about upsetting the other person or causing tension. However, avoiding confrontation by withholding the truth only prolongs the issue and may lead to greater frustration down the line. Unresolved problems often fester, creating resentment and emotional distance between individuals. Example: consider a situation where an employee is unhappy with their workload, but is afraid to speak up for fear of angering their boss or colleagues. By staying silent, they may experience increasing stress and dissatisfaction. Over time, this leads to burnout and decreased productivity. If they had been honest about their concerns in a respectful, constructive way, they could have opened the door to a solution and prevented the situation from escalating. To overcome the fear of confrontation, we must change our perspective on difficult conversations. Instead of viewing them as a battle to be won or avoided, we can see them as opportunities for growth and problem solving. When we approach difficult conversations with honesty, we invite open dialogue, mutual respect, and understanding. Even if the conversation is initially uncomfortable, it can lead to healthier relationships and more effective conflict resolution. The discomfort of vulnerability. Honesty often requires us to be vulnerable, sharing our innermost thoughts, fears, and desires. Vulnerability can feel risky because it exposes our true selves, making us feel exposed and potentially susceptible to judgment or hurt. However, vulnerability is a critical component of emotional intimacy and connection. Without vulnerability, our relationships remain superficial and disconnected. The discomfort of vulnerability may lead us to suppress our feelings or hide aspects of ourselves in order to protect ourselves from emotional pain. But by doing so, we create barriers that prevent us from forming deep, meaningful connections with others. The willingness to be vulnerable, to share our truths even when it feels uncomfortable, is what allows relationships to deepen and flourish. Proverb: the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin D. Roosevelt. This powerful quote reminds us that our fears are often based on imagined outcomes rather than reality. The fear of vulnerability can seem overwhelming, but once we push through it, we often find that the rewards, stronger relationships, greater self-awareness, and emotional healing are worth the discomfort. Overcoming the discomfort of vulnerability begins with self-compassion. It's important to recognize that our feelings, emotions, and experiences are valid, and sharing them can be empowering, not weakening. Embracing vulnerability allows us to live more authentically, and it encourages others to do the same. It is through this shared openness that true intimacy is built. The fear of being misunderstood. Another challenge of honesty is the fear of being misunderstood. When we speak the truth, there is always the possibility that our words may be misinterpreted or taken out of context. We fear that our intentions will be misjudged, leading to confusion, hurt feelings, or conflict. Misunderstandings are a natural part of human communication, and while they can be frustrating, they do not invalidate the importance of honesty. In fact, by embracing honesty, we create opportunities for clarification and understanding. When we are open and truthful, we invite others to engage with us, ask questions, and seek clarification. Example: if someone expresses dissatisfaction with a project at work, they may fear that their feedback will be seen as a personal attack. However, by speaking honestly and clarifying their intentions, "I'm not upset with you, I just think we can improve this part of the project," they reduce the likelihood of misunderstanding and invite a more productive conversation. To overcome the fear of being misunderstood, we must approach honesty with clarity and empathy. It's essential to communicate our thoughts in a way that is respectful and clear, and to be open to feedback or questions from others. When we are honest, but also willing to explain ourselves and engage in dialogue, we increase the chances of being understood and fostering positive outcomes. Practical strategies for embracing honesty. While overcoming the fear of honesty may not be easy, there are strategies we can use to make the process smoother and more effective. 1. Start small. Begin practicing honesty in low-risk situations. By gradually building your confidence in speaking the truth, you'll be better equipped to handle more difficult conversations when they arise. 2. Practice self-compassion. Recognize that honesty can be uncomfortable, but it is a powerful and essential practice. Be kind to yourself as you navigate the process of being truthful, and understand that growth comes from facing discomfort. 3. Communicate with empathy. When you know that your honesty may cause discomfort, practice delivering the truth with empathy and respect. Being kind and understanding in your approach can help others receive the truth in a constructive way. 4. Prepare for difficult conversations. If you anticipate that a conversation may be challenging, take some time to prepare. Think about what you want to say, how you want to say it, and how you might respond to potential reactions. This preparation will help you feel more confident and less anxious. In this chapter, we've examined the various challenges that make honesty difficult, including the fear of rejection, confrontation, vulnerability, and being misunderstood. While these barriers can feel overwhelming, they can be overcome with self-awareness, empathy, and practice. Honesty is not only about telling the truth, it's about embracing the discomfort and vulnerability that come with it, knowing that the rewards of living truthfully far outweigh the temporary discomfort. As we move forward, we will explore the societal impact of honesty, looking at how honesty can create a more just, transparent, and accountable society. How does honesty play a role in institutions, businesses, and governance? We'll delve into how honesty at the societal level fosters trust and contributes to the common good. Honesty in society, promoting justice, transparency, and accountability. Honesty is often seen as a personal virtue, something that shapes our individual relationships and self-perception. However, honesty's impact extends far beyond the personal sphere. It is the foundation of social systems, institutions, and governance. Without honesty, societies become fractured, corrupted, and dysfunctional. In this chapter, we will explore how honesty plays a crucial role in promoting justice, transparency, and accountability at the societal level. In both public and private sectors, honesty ensures that power is used responsibly and that individuals and organizations are held accountable for their actions. From governments to businesses, from journalists to non-profit organizations, honesty is essential for creating an environment of trust, integrity, and fairness. Let's examine how honesty functions within these larger systems and how it contributes to a more just and transparent society. Honesty in governance and politics. In governance, honesty is not merely a virtue, it is a necessity. For any government to function effectively and earn the trust of its citizens, honesty must be at its core. Transparency in decision-making, honesty in policy implementation, and accountability in governance create an environment where citizens feel empowered and informed. Without these principles, corruption, inequality, and injustice can thrive, undermining the very fabric of democracy. Political leaders are entrusted with significant power and resources. They must make decisions that affect the lives of millions. When leaders are dishonest, whether by lying about their actions, hiding information, or manipulating facts, they betray the trust of the people they serve. This leads to disenfranchisement, apathy, and the erosion of democratic values. Example: consider a political scandal in which leaders are caught lying about the state of the economy or the allocation of public funds. Such dishonesty not only undermines the trust of citizens, but also creates instability within the society. When citizens can no longer trust their leaders, they become disillusioned with the political system, and this damages the overall functioning of democracy. Honesty in governance, on the other hand, ensures that the public is informed and able to participate meaningfully in the political process. When leaders are transparent about their decisions and policies, they foster trust, collaboration, and a stronger, more resilient democracy. Proverb: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Martin Luther King Jr. This quote highlights the broader impact of dishonesty in leadership. When leaders act dishonestly, they not only harm their immediate constituents, but also erode the principles of justice that uphold society. Injustice caused by dishonesty has far-reaching effects, making it essential for leaders to remain truthful and accountable. Honesty in business, building trust and corporate responsibility. In the business world, honesty is a critical element in maintaining trust and long-term success. Companies that prioritize honesty create environments where ethical practices thrive, and stakeholders, whether customers, employees, or shareholders, feel secure and respected. In contrast, dishonesty in business can lead to scandals, loss of reputation, and financial collapse. One of the key areas where honesty is tested in business is in advertising and marketing. Companies must be truthful about the quality, benefits, and limitations of their products and services. Misleading claims, false advertising, and hidden fees can damage consumer trust and lead to legal consequences. Honest businesses, however, build loyalty by delivering on their promises and maintaining transparency in their dealings. Example: a company that falsely advertises a product as being organic when it is not only damages its reputation, but also risks legal action. However, a company that is upfront about its product's ingredients and sourcing not only avoids potential legal troubles, but also builds trust with consumers who appreciate transparency. Honesty also plays a role in employee relations. Businesses that foster an environment of openness and transparency, where employees are encouraged to speak honestly about their needs, concerns, and ideas, create more innovative and productive workplaces. A culture of honesty leads to stronger morale, better team dynamics, and greater job satisfaction. Proverb: "A company is only as good as its word." Unknown. This proverb emphasizes the importance of honesty in business dealings. The reputation of a company is built on the consistency between its words and actions. When businesses are truthful, they establish themselves as reliable, trustworthy, and ethical players in the marketplace. Honesty in media and journalism. The power of truth in reporting. In the media and journalism, honesty plays a pivotal role in maintaining a well-informed society. The media serves as the primary source of information for the public, and it has the power to shape public opinion, influence elections, and drive societal change. As such, honesty in journalism is critical to preserving democracy, accountability, and public trust. When journalists are honest, they report the facts and provide analysis that helps people make informed decisions. However, when media outlets are dishonest, through sensationalism, bias, or misinformation, they undermine public trust and create division. The proliferation of fake news and misleading headlines can lead to confusion, polarization, and manipulation of the public. Honest journalism provides people with the information they need to engage with the world critically and thoughtfully. It holds institutions accountable and gives voice to marginalized groups, ensuring that all perspectives are heard. Transparency in the media is essential for a functioning democracy, where citizens can trust the information they receive and use it to make decisions. Example: during political campaigns, some news outlets may be tempted to sensationalize stories or misrepresent facts to push a particular agenda. This kind of dishonesty can manipulate public opinion and skew the democratic process. Conversely, media outlets that adhere to the principles of honesty and integrity in their reporting foster trust and provide the public with accurate information. Proverb: a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. Winston Churchill. This quote highlights the power of dishonesty and misinformation in spreading quickly. While lies may spread faster, the truth has the power to stand firm and, ultimately, restore balance and understanding. The responsibility of journalists and media outlets is to ensure that the truth is heard and acted upon. Honesty in social justice, transparency, and accountability. In the realm of social justice, honesty is essential for holding individuals, institutions, and governments accountable. Without honesty, issues like corruption, inequality, and human rights abuses can go unchecked, perpetuating cycles of injustice. Honest dialogue about these issues is necessary to bring about social change and reform. When societies confront social injustices, honesty plays a critical role in shining a light on systemic problems and providing a platform for marginalized voices. Transparency in policies, practices, and public discourse helps ensure that those in power are held accountable for their actions. Without honesty, efforts to create a fair and just society become hindered by misinformation and manipulation. Example: the civil rights movements throughout history relied on honest dialogue about the inequalities and injustices faced by marginalized groups. By speaking openly and truthfully about the issues, these movements garnered widespread support and created lasting change. Honesty in addressing uncomfortable truths is crucial for progress and for ensuring that no one is left behind. The role of honesty in building a trustworthy society. Honesty, when embraced by individuals and institutions, builds a foundation of trust in society. A society where honesty is valued and practiced is one where individuals feel empowered to speak their truth, hold others accountable, and engage in constructive dialogue. Trust fosters cooperation, collaboration, and community, creating an environment where collective goals can be achieved. When honesty is prioritized at all levels of society, from local communities to global institutions, it creates a culture of transparency and fairness. People are more likely to support institutions, businesses, and governments that operate with integrity and honesty. A trustworthy society is one where the truth is not only valued, but also protected and upheld by those in power. The truth does not mind being questioned. A lie does not like being challenged. Unknown. This quote emphasizes that the truth stands up to scrutiny and thrives in an environment of honesty. Lies, on the other hand, are fragile and rely on deception to persist. By fostering honesty in our interactions and institutions, we can create a more resilient, transparent, and just society. In this chapter, we've explored how honesty plays a critical role in promoting justice, transparency, and accountability at the societal level. Whether in governance, business, media, or social justice, honesty is essential for building trust and creating a society where people feel informed, empowered, and heard. Without honesty, corruption, injustice, and inequality thrive, undermining the very fabric of society. By prioritizing honesty and transparency, we can create a more just, fair, and functional world for all. In the next chapter, we will reflect on the practical steps we can take to cultivate honesty in our personal lives. How can we practice honesty every day? What are the barriers to living truthfully, and how can we overcome them? We will explore how embracing honesty in all aspects of our lives leads to personal fulfillment and a stronger, more cohesive society. Cultivating honesty in our lives, practical steps to living truthfully. Now that we've explored the significance of honesty in personal growth, relationships, and society at large, it's time to reflect on how we can bring honesty into our daily lives. Honesty isn't a one-time choice or a fleeting decision. It is a practice, an intentional way of living. While we all understand the importance of honesty, putting it into action requires effort, mindfulness, and consistency. In this chapter, we will explore practical steps that we can take to cultivate honesty in our everyday lives. We'll look at how to confront dishonesty within ourselves, build the habit of truthfulness, and create a life that is rooted in integrity. By embracing these practices, we can build more meaningful relationships, gain self-respect, and contribute to a society that values transparency, accountability, and trust. Let's explore the path to living an honest, fulfilling life. Start with self-honesty, being true to yourself. The first step toward living a life of honesty is to be truthful with ourselves. Self-honesty is the foundation for all other forms of honesty. If we are not honest with ourselves about our emotions, desires, or flaws, it becomes difficult to be truthful with others. Self-deception, the act of denying our true feelings, needs, or motivations, creates internal conflict and prevents us from fully understanding who we are. Being honest with ourselves means acknowledging our fears, weaknesses, and mistakes, and accepting them without judgment. This can be a difficult process, especially when it comes to confronting aspects of ourselves that we'd rather ignore. However, self-honesty is essential for personal growth. By accepting ourselves for who we truly are, we allow ourselves the space to improve, learn, and evolve. Example: imagine someone who is unhappy in their job, but continues to stay because they fear disappointing others or feeling inadequate. They may tell themselves that they are satisfied, even though deep down they are not. Practicing self-honesty would involve acknowledging their dissatisfaction and considering what steps to take for their well-being. By being truthful about their feelings, they can take control of their life and pursue a path that aligns with their true desires. Start small. Practice honesty in everyday situations. Honesty doesn't need to start with big, life-changing conversations. Begin by practicing honesty in everyday situations. Whether it's being truthful about your preferences in a casual conversation or expressing your feelings honestly in a minor conflict, every small act of honesty reinforces the habit. These moments may seem insignificant, but they are crucial in building the foundation for a life of integrity. Start by examining your behavior and asking yourself, are there small areas of dishonesty that I overlook? Do I hide my true thoughts or avoid difficult conversations to keep the peace? By noticing these moments and choosing honesty, you begin to shift your mindset toward truthfulness in all areas of your life. Proverb: honesty is the best policy, but insanity is a better defense. Mark Twain. This light-hearted yet insightful quote reminds us that honesty is essential, but it's important to be wise in how and when we apply it. Small, thoughtful steps in practicing honesty prepare us for bigger, more challenging conversations and decisions in the future. Be honest in your communication. Speak your truth with clarity and respect. Honesty is most powerful when it's communicated clearly and respectfully. Speaking your truth requires not only honesty, but also empathy and understanding of the other person's perspective. The way we deliver the truth is just as important as the truth itself. It's easy to speak the truth in a way that is harsh or insensitive, but it's essential to communicate our thoughts and feelings with kindness and respect. To practice honest communication, use I statements instead of you statements. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," say, "I feel unheard when we're talking about important matters." This approach shifts the focus away from accusing the other person and instead opens the door to an honest dialogue where both sides feel heard and respected. Example: if you have a disagreement with a friend, avoid lying or pretending to agree with them just to avoid confrontation. Instead, express your feelings honestly. I understand your point, but I feel differently about this situation because... This way, you honor both your truth and the relationship, fostering a deeper connection based on mutual understanding. Confront your fears, overcoming the discomfort of honesty. One of the biggest obstacles to living honestly is fear. We fear the consequences of telling the truth, whether it's the fear of rejection, criticism, or conflict. This fear often leads us to hide the truth, avoid difficult conversations, or manipulate situations to make them more comfortable. However, avoiding honesty only leads to greater discomfort in the long run. The truth has a way of surfacing, and when we suppress it, it often manifests in other ways, such as resentment, stress, or misunderstandings. Overcoming the fear of honesty requires courage and the understanding that the temporary discomfort of truthfulness is far better than the prolonged discomfort of dishonesty. Start by acknowledging your fears and then gradually confronting them. If the idea of being honest in certain situations overwhelms you, break it down into smaller steps. Prepare yourself for difficult conversations by thinking through what you want to say, and remember that honesty will lead to greater peace of mind in the end. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you're honest. Living honestly doesn't mean being perfect. You will make mistakes, and there will be times when you find it difficult to express your truth. During these moments, it's important to practice self-compassion. Be gentle with yourself when you fall short of your ideals, and remember that honesty is a lifelong practice. Perfection is not the goal, authenticity and growth are. When you make mistakes or fail to be as honest as you intended, don't beat yourself up. Instead, reflect on the experience, learn from it, and recommit to being more truthful in the future. By treating yourself with kindness and forgiveness, you can continue to grow into a more honest and authentic person. The truth will set you free, but first, it will make you miserable. James A. Garfield. This quote reminds us that honesty can be uncomfortable at first, but it ultimately brings freedom. Embracing the discomfort and being kind to yourself during the process helps you build resilience and continue living authentically. Consistency is key. Cultivate honesty in every area of life. Honesty is a habit that is built over time. Just as we practice honesty in small ways, we must also practice it consistently across all areas of our lives. Whether at work, at home, or in social settings, honest communication and action must become second nature. This consistency builds trust, strengthens relationships, and reinforces our integrity. By consistently being honest, we not only improve our own emotional well-being, but also inspire those around us to do the same. People begin to trust us more, knowing that we are reliable and authentic. A life rooted in honesty becomes one of clarity, peace, and deeper connections with others. In this final chapter, we've explored practical ways to cultivate honesty in our daily lives. By starting with self-honesty, practicing transparent communication, confronting our fears, and treating ourselves with compassion, we can live more authentically and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Honesty is a journey, not a destination, and by taking small, consistent steps toward truthfulness, we create a life of integrity and fulfillment. Embracing honesty in all areas of our lives brings us closer to our true selves and to others, and contributes to a society that values transparency, trust, and fairness. Living truthfully is the path to personal freedom, emotional health, and genuine connection.